How's everybody doing today? Oh, some of you guys don't know me. I'm going to need a little more than that. How are we doing today? There we go. Keep that energy throughout. I know you guys have seen a lot of people. I want you to take a moment to think about a feeling that you want in abundance. Maybe it's being more satisfied in your marriage or work. Perhaps it's being happier or living in the moment every single day. Or maybe it's finding peace or fulfillment. Now, I'd like for you to take a moment to think about how often you experience those feelings now. Is it daily? Maybe it's only on occasion. Or maybe you can't remember the last time you had that feeling. I want you to sit with those emotions for just a little bit. Embrace yourselves. We're going to be reflecting on feelings a lot today, as I know you already have. But imagine experiencing those feelings every single day. Imagine finding that fulfillment that you're looking for and having more of it. Now, let's put a pin on those feelings for just a moment. We're going to come back to them later. Now more than ever, depression and anxiety seems to run rampant in our society. A study conducted by the University of Pennsylvania asked 140 students to either continue regular social media use of Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, or to limit the use for 10 minutes on each app, or 30 minutes a day. They did baseline testing on all of these students to measure where they were with anxiety, depression, loneliness, and the ever-famous FOMO, or fear of missing out. What they found were significant decreases amongst all the students that limited their social media use to only 30 minutes a day, as compared to those that continued their regular use, who saw significantly less decreases. What's more is that these changes happened only within 3 weeks. What this study shows us is that apps that are so ingrained in our lives, apps that we use every single day, can have detrimental effects on our health. And it's just one example of the things that surround us daily that can be harmful to our mental state of mind. And that's why it is so important to not only be vigilant of these things that can harm us, but to be intentional on the things that can improve our quality of life so that we can be well-balanced, happy individuals. I'd like to take a moment now to share my story about how me and my family came to the United States. Okay. Well, my parents and I immigrated to the United States in 1991. We immigrated to America because of the increasing violent and volatile situation of the hometown that I'm from, Juarez, Chihuahua, in Mexico, just a few miles south of the Texan border. The violence in Juarez had escalated from the early 1990s, and in 1993, it increased dramatically, with over 10,000 homicides from the year 2008 to 2012. It's a 5-year period. What caused this violence was the cartels fighting over their territory at the border. And even though at that time we had escaped that violence, it had reached and impacted even us. When during that time, a family member of mine was kidnapped and held on an $8,000 ransom. She was eventually returned to safety, but the emotional toll that it took on me and my family was with us for years. The violence and chaos that we escaped is very real. And it would have led me to a very different place than on the stage where I stand today. My parents were the ripe age of 21 when we came to America, with me as their firstborn. And it wasn't until I was that age that I realized what a massive undertaking it was to do what they did. The sacrifice and conviction that it took for them to make that journey. We spent some time in Fort Worth, Texas, where my younger brother Isaac was born. In 1995, we moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, a place that I've called home ever since. You can only imagine how we felt. Overwhelmed. 2 kids with kids of their own in a totally new place. We were confused by the difference in culture and the language barrier. My parents at the time didn't speak a lick of English. We were unsure of what this city was going to provide us, immigrants, that not that long ago had no idea what the Midwest was. And of course, the snow and the cold. We definitely weren't ready for that. But growing up in Indiana was great for the majority of my childhood. I acclimated to the language and the culture of the Midwest, and so did my parents. Although, they did find the idea of peanut butter and jelly in a sandwich a little odd at first. But we learned a lot since we've been here. Both of my parents, including me, speak fluent English. My parents have steady jobs and are proud homeowners. And in 2018, just a year ago, after over 2 decades of waiting, my parents finally became permanent residents of this great country. And of course, like most red-blooded Americans, we all share a single Netflix account that only one of us pays for. If that is an American. It wasn't until I was a little older that I realized the limitations I had as an immigrant in this country. Due to the nature of my entry to the US, I couldn't legally work or drive until I was 23 years old. 27 now. Think about that. I also wasn't able to accept any government-funded scholarship, which I didn't realize until I already graduated high school and found out I wasn't going to be able to attend the very prestigious but expensive art school that I had worked so hard to get into. This sent me into a depression. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. In Mexico, because I hadn't been there since I was a baby. And in the US, because my lack of proper documentation didn't afford me the same opportunities as the other kids, despite working just as hard. I couldn't do the things that my peers could do. Get that first job, get that first car, or apply to that college that would open so many doors for me. I didn't see a difference between me and my classmates. After all, we'd grown up together. I just didn't see how I was going to build a life with my hands bound together. But through these tough challenges, through the rough years, I had people that presented me with opportunities I never thought I had. This changed everything for me. My parents have always been extremely supportive. They made me feel as if my opportunity was limitless. Opportunity they never had growing up. One of the biggest influences of my life, a teacher no less, Miss Karen Gilly, taught me not only to stand up to my struggles, but to break the barriers. I got job opportunities that took me from a part-time stock boy all the way to being promoted just a few years later to a marketing director of a multi-million-dollar retail store at the tender age of 19. Now, I can assure you, I had no idea what I was doing. My only goal was to not get fired. But over the years, I learned so much, and I finally got a taste of what my life could be. These people and so many others made me feel as if I could do things I never thought I could do before. This changed me to my core. My parents made me feel as if everything was possible because I saw what 2 young immigrants could do who had so much to lose but so much more to gain. They came to this country to survive so that I could thrive. I'll say that again. They came to this country to survive so that I could thrive. Brian, my boss from that previously mentioned retail store, taught me that hard work and dedication was crucial for success. And that no matter where you started, you could always achieve greatness. And most importantly, he taught me that I was capable of that. And Miss Gilly, she gave me the grit and the determination to do things I never thought were possible, relentlessly and with conviction. And that's a fire that I've kept burning inside ever since. We're all on this journey called life together. And through us sharing our challenges and experiences with others, we empower them to do things they never thought they could do and be people they never thought they could be. We can help each other navigate through the perils and tragedies of life that affect us all at one point or another. And we all have examples of people that have helped us make massive improvements in our lives for the better. Whether it was difficult relationships or new experiences or adversities we don't know how we're going to overcome. And we all remember the feelings in the aftermath, don't we? Relief, gratitude, happiness, maybe even hope. It is our responsibility as fellow human beings to help spread those feelings. So, how is it that we do that? How is it that we spread those feelings amongst those that are so important to us? Well, I'll tell you. With science, neural evidence shows us that there is a link between giving and happiness. Giving, or simply the intent to give, activates the mesolimbic region of our brain. That's the same region of our brain that not only responds to financial reward, but also to sex. And we all know how motivating that can be for us. A study by Columbia University also makes it clear that when we help other people regulate their emotion, we in turn help our own emotion regulating skills. And we do this emotion regulating in two ways. First, acceptance. That is to say, we show empathy to someone else's situation and validate their feelings. So for example, words like, "Oh, we've all been there," or "You have every right to feel that way." Good examples. The other, reappraisal. That is to say, helping people think about their situation in a different way. So when your best friend gets fired, you can at least say, "Well, at least you don't have to deal with Cindy from accounting anymore." And we all have a Cindy from accounting we're happy to not have to deal with anymore. So whether it's helping a friend through a breakup or supporting your spouse when they're trying to deal with something tough, when we help them, we learn to help ourselves. So I would like to prove this to you through a thought experiment. And I would like for all of you to be my volunteers. How's that sound? Come on. That's what I need. I want you to take a moment to imagine one of the hardest things you've ever overcome in your life. Could be a marriage that wasn't where it should be. Could be addiction, drinking, smoking, something much worse. Or maybe it was that time you were at that job you hated, and we've all been there. I want you to think about the thoughts and feelings that came when you were in that situation. Maybe you were angry. Maybe you felt scared or anxious. Maybe you were hopeless. Now, I want you to think about what it felt like to overcome that. What were the feelings? The weight that was lifted off your shoulders. Do we all have it? All right, let's make this interesting. We're all going to get to know each other a little better. Don't worry, I won't make you reveal any secrets. Turn to someone next to you. If there's no one next to you, someone behind you or someone nearby. Shake their hand and introduce yourself. It's not rhetorical either. There you go. Wonderful. Make sure to remember their name. You're going to need it for later. Now, think about Henry, think about John, think about Meredith. Imagine that they're dealing with the exact same thing that you overcame. Imagine that they're feeling the exact same feelings that you were feeling then. The hopelessness, the fear of not knowing what to do. Imagine that they're feeling those exact same feelings. What advice could you give that person right now to help them overcome? What tools could you give them to empower them to get out of that situation just as you did? I realize how putting a personal face and name to these emotions and thoughts can be very real and powerful. So thank you for doing that. But that's exactly what these feelings are. They're real and they're powerful and they affect people all around us, even the people that we know. It can affect the entire trajectory of your life when you're used to feeling hopeless and overrun by emotion. But you overcoming the challenge that you did have the power now to help someone else climb out of that as well. So why aren't we doing more to give? One of the biggest reasons we're not giving is because we don't think we're capable of giving. We don't see the value that we each hold to improve someone else's life for the better. But we all carry a unique and valuable perspective that when shared can have amazing effects on the world. Effects that we may never get to see ourselves. The lesson behind this thought experiment is quite simple. It's to show us that we each have the power to enrich the lives of others. And I hope that through reflecting on your own experiences and all of the people that empowered you to overcome and become a better you, you'll realize that you have the power to do that to someone else just as well. And I hope that just like those people took the time to change the direction of my life, that you'll care about someone to change the direction of their life. I leave you with a single challenge. Ask yourself, how can you improve and empower the lives of others? How can you do something for other people that will help them climb out of that hopeless situation and in turn gain those feelings of abundance that you've wanted your entire life? Thank you.